8 signs Hillary Clinton will be arrested and charged soon. There are 8 signs since the inauguration of President Trump that point to a coming prosecution for Bill and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. Before I begin, let us review highly pertinent details to the case. James Comey withheld a criminal indictment recommendation for Hillary despite the fact that he indicated under oath that Hillary broke the law. Based on the emails that were recovered from her server, more than 100 pieces of classified, secret and top-secret information were found. But the classified information that the FBI currently has in its possession is just one small piece of the puzzle. The bigger question is, why were the 33,000 emails deleted? What information was contained in these emails? It was information so explosive that Hillary Clinton risked jail time by destroying the records. During Hillary Clinton's time as Secretary of State, 2 explosive child trafficking cases occurred that were covered up by the State Department. One was the case of alleged missionary Laura Silsby, who tried to traffic 32 children after the Haiti earthquake of 2010. The U.S. mainstream media painted Silsby as a simple missionary trying to help the children. But WikiLeaks told us a very different story. She was not a simple missionary. Silsby was in direct contact with the State Department, and Hillary herself. 10 leaders, including Silsby, were arrested and held in jail as they awaited the outcome of their case. WikiLeaks provided an email involving Hillary's fixer, Patrick Kennedy, who was part of a secret thread discussing how the State Department could hide the missionaries from the media once they were released from jail. The second child trafficking case involved Howard Gutman, the 33rd ambassador to Belgium, who attempted to solicit children while he was in office. Despite the stunning allegations against him, including an official report proving he engaged in child trafficking, the case received almost no attention from mainstream media and the U.S. WikiLeaks also had a file on Gutman. He was a top fundraiser for the Democrats in 2008. Guess who got Gutman off the hook? Patrick Kennedy. He scrubbed the official records of Gutman's horrific crimes. We will return to Patrick Kennedy later in this article. What information was contained in these emails? It was information so explosive that Hillary Clinton risked jail time by destroying the records. During Hillary Clinton's time as Secretary of State, 2 explosive child trafficking cases occurred that were covered up by the State Department. One was the case of alleged missionary Laura Silsby, who tried to traffic 32 children after the Haiti earthquake of 2010. The U.S. mainstream media painted Silsby as a simple missionary trying to help the children. But WikiLeaks told us a very different story. She was not a simple missionary. Silsby was in direct contact with the State Department, and Hillary herself. 10 leaders, including Silsby, were arrested and held in jail as they awaited the outcome of their case. WikiLeaks provided an email involving Hillary's fixer, Patrick Kennedy, who was part of a secret thread discussing how the State Department could hide the missionaries from the media once they were released from jail. The second child trafficking case involved Howard Gutman, the 33rd ambassador to Belgium, who attempted to solicit children while he was in office. Despite the stunning allegations against him, including an official report proving he engaged in child trafficking, the case received almost no attention from mainstream media and the U.S. WikiLeaks also had a file on Gutman. He was a top fundraiser for the Democrats in 2008. Guess who got Gutman off the hook? Patrick Kennedy. He scrubbed the official records of Gutman's horrific crimes. We will return to Patrick Kennedy later in this article. Here are the 8 signs that a major prosecution is coming against Bill and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. The former Democratic congressman is facing child pornography charges and is cooperating with prosecutors by informing on the Clintons in return for them dropping their case against him. Just before the election, 656 files were found on Anthony Weiner and Huma Abed's laptop. During the search, investigators also found classified emails from Hillary, which is why they opened up her case again, just 2 days before the election, alerting Congress they were not pressing charges against Hillary. As it turns out, this is not Anthony Weiner's first time contacting a minor. He is a serial offender. WikiLeaks revealed that top Clinton aides including John Podesta discussed Weiner's first offense with the minor but did nothing about it. For almost 5 months as Obama finished his term, the FBI did not recommend charges for Weiner. But now, right at the start of Trump's term, Weiner is facing charges with a minimum of 15 years in prison, and registration as a sex offender unless he informs on bigger fish Bill and Hillary Clinton. FBI sources indicate Weiner is singing like a bird. Just a few days before reports that charges were coming against Weiner, a close friend of Hillary and Bill, Jeffrey Epstein, was hit with a massive new lawsuit involving child trafficking. A woman, whose name has not been revealed, filed a case alleging she was part of a child trafficking ring led by Epstein. This lawsuit appears to have been filed just after Trump's inauguration. Previously, Epstein and his best friend Prince Andrew were recipients of lawsuits by women who claimed that they were part of a trafficking scheme that was being led by the world's most powerful elites. It seems there are others involved, including Alan Dershowitz and Bill Clinton, both of whom are frequent flyers on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express. If Epstein is hauled into court again, he could reveal damaging information about Bill Clinton. Clinton Global Initiative is closing down. Many believe the initiative was operating as a pay-for-play scheme. After Hillary was defeated, they are no longer receiving any money. There is significant evidence that the Global Initiative received donations of hundreds of millions of dollars every single year, with the donations coming from CEOs, Saudi royalty, kings and queens, major corporations and Hollywood actors, including Brock Pierce. A child actor who starred in the Mighty Ducks movies, Brock Pierce later became a spokesman for the Clinton Global Initiative. Later he was implicated in a child sex trafficking ring, including 2 of his business partners, Chad Shackley and Mark Collins Rector. Pierce has given major speeches on behalf of the initiative. The other actor is Stephen Colbert, who was one of the first celebrities to publicly mock the idea of an elite child trafficking ring. Not unsurprisingly, We know from WikiLeaks that Stephen Colbert was literally taking orders from the Clinton Global Initiative on what he could and couldn't say during segments of his show, The Colbert Report. His mockery of child trafficking rumors wasn't his own doing. It came from his bosses, Bill and Hillary. Back in 2014, Colbert actually toured with the CGI and raised money for the organization. Who did the Global Initiative give money to? We know that $2.5 million was given to a small non-profit called Beyond Borders, located in Washington, D.C. Beyond Borders claims that it is an organization that fights child trafficking in Haiti. We also know that the CGI was involved financially with the Radcliffe Foundation, led by billionaire Frank Giustra. Bill Clinton took trips around the world with Giustra, including to Haiti. The Radcliffe Foundation funds several camps to help refugees, including one called El Pita. On their website, El Pita has a photo on their website of a blue triangle, which is one of a handful of symbols internationally recognized a pedophile, child trafficking symbol. We also see a picture of a heart inside of a heart, which is another symbol identified by the FBI in 2007. Why did the money suddenly dry up? Are the donors now afraid they will be implicated in a litigation brought against Hillary and the Clinton Foundation? Haiti. On February 3, 2017, the Daily Mail reported that the Clinton Foundation was cutting off their Haiti programs, which included millions of dollars in donations that allegedly were meant to fight child trafficking. Additionally, an initiative that was led by Bill Clinton and Frank Giustra in Haiti is also being cut off. Clinton Foundation claims that they invested millions of dollars in Haiti recovery, so an abrupt severing of the ties with the non-profits there is very strange indeed. Immediately after this, the Jamaica Observer reported that a child trafficking ring was busted and 33 girls were rescued in Haiti. There's a pattern developing here. When the Clinton Foundation cuts off money to a country, child trafficking rings immediately get exposed. More on that coming up. That man again, Patrick Kennedy, Hillary's fixer, was fired from the State Department, although mainstream media claims he resigned. Kennedy was one of the first people President Trump fired, but why? Kennedy was a lifelong State Department employee, one of the most knowledgeable employees, with a great understanding of the ins and outs. He carried out a quid pro quo to cover up Hillary's 33,000 missing emails. Covered up Laura Silsby's case of trafficking 33 children. He covered up Howard Gutman's child sex trafficking case. We saw further confirmation Patrick Kennedy was involved in a quid pro quo after the FBI quietly released 178 pages of data on Hillary's missing data. This was part 6 of their data dump on Hillary, indicating that there was a revolt underway inside the FBI against the Clintons. The files were declassified just after the election, and they weren't released until after Obama left office. One page proved Patrick Kennedy was intricately involved in the cover-up of Hillary's emails. But there is more. WikiLeaks posted a reference to the 6th document dump from the FBI about the investigation into Hillary's emails. Right after this, they tweeted an image of the Svalbard Sea Vault, which is located in Norway. Right after Clinton lost the election, Norway announced they would reduce donations to the Clinton Foundation by 90. Just 3 days after this announcement, a massive child trafficking ring was busted, suspected of involving members of the government. The New York Times and Washington Post published articles about this bust, but they removed them without any explanation. You might actually be very close to knowing the truth. Another file released by the FBI stated that James Comey has the missing content from Hillary's server and that Loretta Lynch may have acted unconstitutionally. It appears the FBI has had the emails for quite some time. Guilty people try to hide things. Federal judge today hit the Obama administration with a blistering opinion, claiming that the Department of Homeland Security is actually encouraging human smugglers along the southern border. The Kelly File, Fox News. Those who claim that it's all just a conspiracy theory, that the evidence I have provided is merely hype and nothing more, consider the following cases. Journalist and Talking Heads also said Jerry Sandusky's case was a conspiracy, before he admitted it wasn't. Vatican dismissed multiple claims of child abuse among priests as a hoax, until they were forced to admit the abuse was widespread, and were forced to pay more than $4 billion in claims to victims. Many simply ignored claims of protesters in the 90s that the BBC was operating a child trafficking ring and enabling celebrities like Jimmy Savile. That is until the woman who blew the whistle against the BBC turned up dead. 1999 Jill Danda was shot to death for her conspiracy theory that turned out to be a fact. Please do not repeat the same mistakes as people in the past. Do not believe the mainstream media. You will find that child trafficking is happening right now among the most elite organizations in the world. In fact, a major trafficking bust was just carried in Los Angeles County. Think about all those celebrities who gave a standing ovation for a man named Roman Polanski. Thousands of pedophiles have been arrested across the country since President Trump took office, under a mainstream media blackout. But both Ivanka Trump and Kellyanne Conway have hinted at the administration's work behind the scenes, tackling the problem. FBI. Just before the election, Fox News anchor Bret Baier spent 4 entire days reporting on an FBI inquiry into the Clinton Foundation. Baier stated that his sources had obtained evidence and were preparing to press charges against the foundation and that investigation would continue after the election. These investigators are building a case. They are gathering evidence, and as investigators do they feel strongly about the evidence they have. They still have to present it to a prosecutor, and then that prosecutor has to go before a grand jury. If not a Dodge prosecutor, then perhaps a special prosecutor that could only be appointed by the Attorney General. People we talked to said they believe they have a lot of evidence and will continue pushing for an indictment after the election, he said. At the same time as Baier's reporting, Michael Flynn made a clear reference to the Clinton Foundation and its involvement in child trafficking. Naturally, he was the first of Trump's cabinet on Hillary's hit list. He wasn't the only one who was critical of the Clintons. Jeff Sessions, who has also been under attack, called for an investigation into the foundation. So did Congressman Mike Pompeo, who I believe could be the next victim. All three of these cabinet members for Trump were appointed on the very same day, and all three of them were very outspoken about Hillary's crimes. Congress has already bought actions against Hillary. Jason Chaffetz sent a letter to Jeff Sessions demanding that Brian Pagliano be charged or brought before a grand jury. Pagliano was Hillary's IT personnel who set up her server. If action is taken against Pagliano, it will open a door to Hillary. I would remind people that the State Department itself still has an open investigation. One of the things we need help from the Trump administration is to get all the documents that we need to come to this conclusion, said Jason Chaffetz. One of the most visible stories implicating the Clinton Foundation was released on February 23, 2017. It involves a man named Timothy Sedlak who claims he was a private investigator. Sedlak was previously convicted as a sex offender and sentenced to 42 years in prison for crimes against children. He just recently pleaded guilty to trying to hack the Clinton Foundation. According to investigators, Sedlak had significant information about Hillary and Chelsea Clinton at his home. Sedlak claimed that he was investigating Hillary's ties to radical militants, but I believe he was doing something else. What does Timothy Sedlak know about the Clinton Foundation? While Trump has been cordial to the Clintons in public since his stunning win, that could change very soon.